following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com
We were on a break!
with Nick Eatman, David Hellman, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Wednesday, January 12th, 2022, Season 17, Episode number 96. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break. We are live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We just finished up the daily press conference with Mike McCarthy. We'll get to that in just a second. There's one thing I thought that came out of that was pretty interesting. I'm going to have Dave kind of give us a recap on that. Nick, let's get started with a 96. You give me a 96 real quick?
Daniel Stubbs.
Daniel Stubbs. Don't know who he is. You want to tell me who he is?
He played in the early 90s. He was a Miami guy, moved over. But more than anything, that Coppell Deli that all the players would go to.
I missed that place.
The Stubbs was because of those Stubbs breakfast sandwiches that they still have is because of Daniel Stubbs.
Got it.
So
It's one of the best things I've ever eaten in my life.
So,
I missed that place.
contributed.
Heart attack waiting to happen.
There's
Really
no doubt.
it is,
Yeah, they still have that, and Nate Newton it probably ate a few.
You still go over there every once in a while?
I don't really. I used to live over there, but now I don't. But yeah, they still bring them in sometimes.
Day 3 of the draft.
That's your thing?
No, it's not my thing.
Oh, okay.
It's Rich Dalrymple's thing. He's the head of Cowboys PR. He's been here forever. I was actually watching Jimmy's speech after the 92, the How About Them Cowboys speech after they beat the Niners, and like Rich is in the background looking much younger. But day 3 of the draft, he goes and gets Stubbs sandwiches for like everybody in football ops.
That's
And,
pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Stubbs.
At
some point we might get included.
Well, he always used and Rich can be kind of surly. I think he would agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm not.
He's a Pittsburgh guy.
Not talking trash.
Yeah.
But even Brian left personnel years and years ago, and Rich would still always buy him one. So we'd be doing the draft on Saturday, and Brian would have a Stubbs that Rich picked up for him, and I
awesome.
I always thought that was a really cool gesture. But it's good. If you're ever in town, you should go get one.
I do miss those. All right, let's jump in. Let's first give me an update on all the guys that missed this last week's game. You got Micah Parsons, Tyron Smith, Anthony Brown, Jaron Kearse, Trayvon Diggs, Tony Pollard. Where are we with all those guys in returning to practice?
Everybody but Jaron Kearse is up and ready to go.
Awesome.
Micah and Tyron came off the COVID list today. AB came off earlier this week. I don't remember the exact day, but he's been back. Jaron was the last guy to test positive, so it makes sense that he's the last guy still in the protocol. Lunda Wells, the tight ends coach, is testing right now. But other than that, Jaron is the only player that I would imagine won't be available today.
And are you at all concerned about Jaron just because he was already dealing with an injury and then he got COVID, which means that he hasn't been rehabbing with them? Are you a bit concerned about that and where that stands?
He was limited too. I mean, he was limited with hamstring, that's a good sign. I mean, that he could have just been shut down. So I think he was relatively close, anyways. I think he's going to play. I don't know. I don't have any other reason to think that he won't. I think that he's going to play. I think a lot of these guys will play.
All right. There was one other.
We're all in now. We're putting all our chips in now.
Yeah, we are.
That's it.
Doesn't matter if you're hurt. Doesn't matter if you got COVID. You're all in.
They have all kinds of shots.
You watch these COVID cases here in the playoffs.
They're gonna go down. You think? No. I actually think I think COVID cases will go up on Mondays, and then they will be down by the weekend.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's how it will tend to go. That'll be the ebb and flow.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah.
All right, Dave. I want to get your impressions of something. You were in that press conference, or at least listening to that press conference. Mike McCarthy was asked a question about Greg Zuerlein. He was asked about what gives him faith at this point in a guy like Greg, knowing that he's having the struggles he's having, and even more than that, what experiences he has that he may lean on to help him figure out how he manages this kind of situation. What did he say?
Yeah, he said a lot. I mean, he probably talked for 6 minutes. It was a good question by Jory Epstein, especially the part about calling on his experience, because as long as Mike McCarthy's been a head coach, you would guess he's probably gone through a kicker or punter or two. And obviously, Mason Crosby's been the kicker in Green Bay forever. He talked about that, of like working with Crosby through his struggles. The thing that really stuck out to me was the part about John Ryan, who to be honest, I never knew he played for Green Bay. And Mike McCarthy talked about how they kind of got an itchy trigger finger with him and they cut him. And he said probably too soon, and he goes on and catches on with the Seahawks and had a fantastic career there. And it was just kind of, it's an interesting answer if you want to go listen to the whole thing in full context, but just kind of talking about following the process, like the process of the whole week, the way the guy practices, the way the guy approaches it, and just being true to that and not being too reactionary in terms of like whether or not you yank a guy or cut a guy or whatever.
All that being said, do you guys, and we heard him talk about it, we've heard Fossil talk about it, do you think that that's a lot of lip service from the standpoint of them saying that they're completely and totally, I guess what's the right word, confident still in Greg? Or do you think there is in some aspects, some creep some doubt that maybe has crept into their minds and is going to affect how they call the game?
Yeah, I think it has to affect them a little bit. I mean, but that may not be a bad thing, too. I mean, what kicks are we talking about? Not a 39-yarder, not a 46-yarder. It's going to be 50, 54, 53 in the second quarter. Do we want that? Do we want the field position if he misses? So I think that kind of stuff, maybe if he was locked in, kicking great, you wouldn't even worry about it. You would say he's going to hit this 54-yarder and whatever, and that's 3 more points. So I think a little bit, but not to the point where you're going for 2 or you're not kicking field goals when you probably should. This is going to be one of those games where it's probably low scoring. So you got to get your 3 points. I think.
Well, when you say that, though, when you say you don't think it'll affect maybe them going for 2, that seems to be the area where, at least it's the area we're all focused on because of the missed extra points.
Right.
You don't think that affects their thought process when they get in those situations of maybe we should go for 2 here because maybe we just don't trust the extra point as much as we trust. If our offense seems to be flowing, maybe 2 yards to get 2 points might be better.
What's the 2-point conversion rate for the team, for the league? It's probably 50%. 40, 60?
Maybe a little higher for some people.
Maybe, and I don't know what it is for the Cowboys. They seem like they're okay there, but
I don't even know how many times they've done it.
Not a lot, but I bet it's not 88%.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just saying.
I get your point, though. When you think about percentage-wise.
But then you also have to weigh this in, too.
Dallas is at 60%.
Okay, that's good. So what's more important? I mean, what's a better stat? 60% to get 2 points, or 87% to get 1 point.
Right.
I mean, that's pretty even, I would think.
I'm not. And to answer your original question, they probably believe what they're saying, but even if they don't, what else are you going to say 4 days before a playoff game?
And that's I'm not so concerned about what they're saying. I'm concerned more what they're saying when we're not around. That's what I'm trying to get to.
I hate.
Jerry doesn't hold back.
Yeah, no. Jerry's been pretty candid about it.
He has.
I don't like the idea of switching up like fundamental things about who I am before a playoff game. You know what I mean? Maybe he's going to miss an extra point, and that's what I said. Maybe, and I'm not excusing it, but this is just the situation that you're in. Maybe he's going to miss an extra point, but when we need a 46-yarder with 4 minutes to play in the fourth, that's going to extend the lead or tie the game or whatever. He's made those.
Ironically, I feel better about those situations than I do about an extra point, to be honest with you.
Absolutely. I feel if he lines up for like a must-have kick on Sunday, I'm very confident that he'll make it.
Me too.
I'm also pretty confident he's going to miss something that I don't think he should miss at some point. It is what it is. But it's like, like you run races, like you get into like a rhythm, you've done something a certain way, like you don't want to switch up while you're standing on the starting line on race day. You've come too far, and maybe they should have done something earlier in the season, but they didn't, and now they're here, and I think you just got to stay the course.
Well, I was trying to find the quote from Fossil. I can't ever say his name. Fossil? Where he talked about him earlier this week and basically saying, they have full confidence in him, but that it is kind of partially mental and like psychological. And he did say that they're trying to work on something with him to help him out. But I'm like, how do you actually help a psychological part of things? Like what do you do to actually help it? And if anything, if it is something that would help him out, I mean, you would think they've been doing that the past months and clearly hasn't necessarily helped him out unless he would have maybe missed even more than
I went
don't
back.
know.
I went back and listened to that, and it was almost ominous because he was like, "We're gonna try something this week that might be able to help him out with that." And then they asked what it was, and he was like, "Oh, if it doesn't work, I'll tell you about it on Monday next week when we talk to you again." I was just like, "What are you gonna do? Like threaten him, or like, are you
If
gonna
it doesn't
like?"
work, they won't be talking to us next
You
Monday.
either make this kick.
No, that's what I'm saying. Or like, we're docking your pay for every miss in practice or something. I don't like it. Just sounded kind of like a threat almost.
Well,
We got something for Greg this week.
That is the crazy part about this thing, and this is in sports in general these days. Like, they got sports psychologists. Every team has sports psychologists, and guys have sports psychologists on their own. I mean, there is a mental side to sports and to competition and to performance. And so, yeah, I mean, I would assume at this point they're probably trying anything they can try, especially a thing like this where this is clearly not a physical thing. Like, this guy will kick a 50-something yarder, and you feel pretty good about it. And he's out down and trying to kick an extra point, and that's where you're worried. Like, that is a mental issue. Like, that's something going on psychological. And so it's a matter of, can you figure out what the psychological thing is and try to fix it. It's not as simple as just fixing a mechanical thing.
I'll tell you what I would do.
What's that?
Not a damn thing. I wouldn't do a damn thing. Just kick the ball. Don't talk to him about it or anything. He knows.
Okay.
It's just like basketball and you shoot free throws. You got a good free throw shooter. You go into a little bit of a slump here and there and just got to keep shooting, got to get back into that rhythm. Don't talk about it. I mean, does anyone go up to the guy pitching a no-hitter in the 7th inning and go, man, you're really spinning it today. You got a no-hitter? You don't talk about it. Just go. He knows the deal. Let him go kick.
On the offset, like, I wonder, do you go up to a pitcher in the 3rd when he's given up 4 runs and you're like, man, you can't find the zone today. Like, your curveball sucks today. Where is that? Where is it?
Sports psychologist?
Yeah.
Well, that's just called you're out.
Right.
You
Well,
got 9 other guys that day. You don't. I mean, you don't have that.
another guy.
No, you don't have another guy right now. Yeah,
There's no tapping the right leg. Give me the righty.
No.
Okay, you just see McCarthy. That's the cool thing. Like, Haralahu, you're out. You're
That'd
in.
be nice, but
Liram.
don't have that.
Oh, he's with.
He's with another
No,
team.
I'm just
Sorry.
saying.
No,
in general,
no,
if you
I
had
know,
that
I
second
know.
guy, yeah, it would be nice, but you don't have
Don't
that.
get us for tampering. My bad. I don't know where he is.
I think he's with Washington.
He's with
maybe?
someone.
Yeah.
He's not here.
He's
Anyway.
not here. Sorry.
Yes, he is not here. All right, we're going to take our first break. We come back. We got Bucky Brooks joining us. He's going to talk about the San Francisco offense versus the Dallas defense. We'll do that when we come back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
At AT&T, everyone, new and existing customers, get our best deals on every smartphone. Why? Because you deserve it. For turning your living room into your office and your gym. For teaching Grandma how to video call and teaching her again.
It's the button on your left, Nana. Okay, your other left.
It's not complicated. Everyone deserves something new. So AT&T is giving everyone, new and existing customers, our best deals with every unlimited plan on every smartphone, even the latest ones.
AT&T may temporarily slow data speeds if the network is busy. Restrictions and exceptions may apply.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with...
And I'm Jay Novacek, and we're both with...
United Ag and Turf, the official tractor provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
So, if you need a tractor to bale some hay, a mower to cut some grass, or a gator to get some chores done...
Get a John Deere at United Ag and Turf.
And then, let's get to work.
Hey, Jay, that's my line.
Well, not today.
Get to work with a John Deere tractor package that's just right for you and your budget. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/cowboys.
New Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. You deserve it.
I do deserve that.
You deserve decadent flavor without sugar, and a day at the beach without sand getting everywhere. And a relaxing bath that your children don't interrupt.
I deserve all that?
It's really just a visual metaphor for Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. Everything you want, nothing you don't.
A visual metaphor on the radio. I do deserve that.
Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. The zero you deserve is finally here.
Back to the break.
All right, Cowboy fans, head to the pro shop. Step up your game for the playoffs. We have white hot gear for our white. Wow. How about we just have gear for the crowd? This is going to be a whiteout. Score some classics also like jerseys and tees and hats, plus exclusive collections and unique accessories. Visit local Dallas Cowboys Pro Shop. Go to DallasCowboys.com.
Welcome back. It is the second segment of the break live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. Nice job, Nick. Let's go ahead and get Bucky Brooks of NFL Networks to join us. We're going to talk the San Francisco offense versus the Dallas defense. And Bucky, from the moment that this matchup was announced, I think everybody immediately looked at this San Francisco running game and said that's going to be a problem. Tell me why they're so tough to defend.
It's a problem because it's creative yet old school. It will test your discipline. It'll test your physicality and toughness. And if all 11 defenders aren't on the same page, it can make for a long day. And what Kyle Shanahan has done is he's taken the system that was created by his dad and Alex Gibbs, and he's added a few bells and whistles that makes it even harder to defend. The pre-snap shifting and motioning, they do that on over 70% of their plays. And so what they do is they kind of play the shell game with you. All right, they motion, they shift. Where's my strength call? Who's doing this? You got to be communicating. And then they hit you right in the mouth with a pin and pull run with guards pulling and all of that other stuff. And so for teams who have gone the route of, we want to get lighter and faster to get after the passer, they basically come right at you. And for teams that are fast, and big and physical, they run to the edges. And for teams who are trying to hide defensive backs who don't like tackling, they run to the edges and they put wide receivers that enjoy blocking on you. And so it's an all-hands-on-deck deal that you have to defend when you have to defend their running game.
Bucky, this seems like second down is probably the most important down for the Cowboys defense here. Just the difference of maybe getting them in third and long situations or something third and short or a first down to keep them playing the way they want to play. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, early down situations are critical. I would back it up and say first down is really the key. Because if you can hold them to 4 yards or fewer on first down, then you probably force them to pass on second down, which plays to the strengths of your team. But what you don't want to do is be in a situation where they're living in third and twos and second and fours, because now it's a mix down. They can run it or they can throw it because third down won't be a long yardage situation. And so first down would be critical in terms of making them play behind the chain. And the thing about it is you can't just gear up to stop the run on early downs. You got to be aware of the play-action passing game, the shot zone, when they do these misdirection plays and then try and raise up and throw it deep down the field. And so it's one of those games where everyone has to be on the same page. You might even need to be simpler in terms of what you do in the back end to make sure that everyone is locked and loaded and you don't give up the home run play.
Bucky, when you play a team with this much motion and pre-snap movement, what's the key to getting ready for that? Because, you only have so many reps in a week. Is that tape study or do you have to get out and rep it? Like, what's the best way to prepare for that?
Well, one, you want to simplify, right, which kind of plays to this is why they do it. They motion and shift you because they want you to play simple. They want to figure out what you're doing, and then they want to attack it. But from a defensive standpoint, the reason you want to simplify is you don't have enough time throughout the week to go through every conceivable shift, motion, and running play or passing play that they'll run on you. So you want something that would allow you to stay in a solid defense, something that can be communicated really quickly. You don't have people running around looking like they're lost in space. Everyone sees the motion, they adjust, they bump, and then they line up and play. And so you can do that playing zone, you can do that playing man. But what you don't want to do is have probably the Cheesecake Factory menu this week because it'll be too much to get it in. It needs to be, I guess, what you guys talk about, Whataburger. It needs to be small. It needs to be very simple and concise.
But yeah, I wanted to ask you about the run defense. And the Cowboys' run defense, they're not necessarily their forte on this area. So how does that look against this kind of running game that the 49ers got going on?
It's tough. Right now, I would say the big sombrero will fall on it has to go on the heads of the defensive linemen and the linebackers. DeMarcus Lawrence and those guys up front got to be able to control the gaps. Leighton Vander Esch and Michael Parsons have to make sure they have great discipline in getting to their gaps. And then the overall defense has to raise up the level of physicality. Like, I can talk to you about all the X's and O's and the schematics, but it's the playoffs. Like, it really comes down to which team out-hits the other team. And so the physical nature of the game has to be better than we've ever seen from the Cowboys this season. That's just the nature of the playoffs. So you got to turn it up a notch. And so this has to be a very physical, smash-mouth affair. And I don't know if there have been enough games on the regular season slate for us to accurately predict, like, what this is going to look like for the Cowboys. But we just have to know that if they're going to win, it has to be their most physical game on the defense side of the ball.
Although San Francisco has been pretty good running the ball most of the year, they did have a game against Arizona where they only had 39 rush yards. Now, that was only on 11 carries. What did Arizona do in that game that maybe nullified that running game?
Teams that hit don't like to be hit. So the Arizona Cardinals hit them in the mouth in that game. The physicality from the Cardinals in that game, offensively and defensively, took them out the mix, and they were able to kind of control the game and play the game on their terms. Because at the time, Arizona was successfully running the football. They were dialing up pressures like crazy, and they just disrupted the running game by blitzing it. And so that is always a way to do it, but you just got to make sure when you blitz like the Cardinals were bringing pressure, that everyone has to make sure they hit the right gap. Because when you run a gap scheme like the 49ers run, because they've gone away a little bit from the zone scheme, what they do is they're trying to get one defender out of the gap, they kick him out, and it ends up being a big play up the gut. So it's one of those things where you got to bring pressure. You can't just sit back and play like toy soldiers. You got to bring it. And I'm not going to make them out to be a team that can't be defeated. They obviously have like 7 or so losses on their record. But you just got to be ready for it. You got to hit them in the mouth. You got to make the game be one that Jimmy Garoppolo has to win the game. It can't be a game where they're comfortable and able to run the football the way they want to run it.
Have you seen Dan Quinn do that with this defense, call that kind of game?
They haven't really had to do that. You know, like the Eagles were a running team, but like the first game they played them, they weren't quite in that mode. And then the second game, like, it was a JV team. So we really haven't seen that. But their running game would be comparable to the way the Eagles successfully started running the ball at the end of the year with the quarterback running some read runs. They're doing some creative things. No, they haven't had to dial up the pressure. And initially, I wouldn't expect them to dial up pressure. I think they're trying to play it in their base, trying to stay conservative and play the way they played all year. But then they have to dial it up when they have to dial it up. The main thing is they got to win first down. They got to get them behind the chain so they can dictate the turns. It has to be a Jimmy Garoppolo game. It can't be an Elijah Mitchell and Deebo Samuel game where they're running the ball and having it on their terms.
Bucky, Deebo Samuel and George Kittle get a lot of attention, and rightfully so. Can you tell me a little bit about Brandon Ayuk? Because it seems like he's kind of breaking out a little bit, and I feel like he's flying under the radar.
Yeah, he's out of the doghouse now. He was in the doghouse early in the year. He and Kyle Shanahan were on different pages in terms of just the way that Brandon Ayuk was playing and performing, the effort that he was displaying, not only as a receiver but also in the running game. So he got on board. And what the 49ers have done, and I've said this going back to those draft years, they basically are playing a wing T type system, right, where they have a bunch of wide receivers that are like wing backs that can touch the ball, they can run it, they can catch it, they can run after the catch. They have versatile athletes like Kittle and George Juszczyk that are able to do a bunch of different things. And their game outside of the run is all catch and run concepts. They want to get the ball to the hands of the playmakers, and their playmakers can scoop. All of those guys have like punt return skills in the background, so they're physical, they break arm tackles, and they're hard to get down. And so Ayuk is a guy at Arizona State who is dominant and disruptive, dynamic with the ball in his hands, and he's continued to be that kind of playmaker when he's gotten chances.
Are you expecting the Cowboys to be able to get some takeaways against this type of offense?
Yes, if they can win first down and make Jimmy Garoppolo do it. Because if they can put the game on Jimmy Garoppolo, he's guaranteed to give you at least 2, because that's what he does. They are undefeated when Jimmy Garoppolo does not have a turnover in the game. Their record is lopsided when he turns it over. The reason they've been able to prevent him from turning it over is because Kyle Shanahan talked about this. When they get to the 30-plus mark in rushing attempts, the game is going the way they want it because they do not want to expose Jimmy Garoppolo as a passer, meaning making him throw off traditional drop-back passes without using play action. And so you have to stop the run and make them get into a shootout-type game where he has to throw without play action, and everyone in the building knows that he's throwing because he's going to miss, and he's going to throw it to the other team. That's what he's done. That's what he's always done, and that's who Jimmy Garoppolo is.
All right, we appreciate it. That's good stuff, Bucky. We'll have you back tomorrow. We'll talk about the San Francisco defense versus the Dallas offense. We're going to take our final break, come back, ask these guys some questions about this Dallas defense. We'll be right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
At AT&T, everyone, new and existing customers, get our best deals on every smartphone. Why? Because you deserve it. For turning your living room into your office and your gym. For teaching grandma how to video call and teaching her again.
It's the button on your left, Nana. Okay, your other left.
It's not complicated. Everyone deserves something new. So AT&T is giving everyone, new and existing customers, our best deals with every unlimited plan on every smartphone, even the latest ones.
AT&T may temporarily slow data speeds if the network is busy. Restrictions and exceptions may apply.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with...
And I'm Jay Novacek, and we're both with...
United Ag and Turf, the official tractor provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
So, if you need a tractor to bale some hay, a mower to cut some grass, or a gator to get some chores done...
Get a John Deere at United Ag and Turf.
And then, let's get to work.
Hey, Jay, that's my line.
Well, not today.
Get to work with a John Deere tractor package that's just right for you and your budget. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man's Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/cowboys.
Back to the break.
All right, we talked about it before. Get ready to white out AT&T Stadium. Cheer for the Cowboys on to victory Sunday, January 16th against the 49ers. Wear white. All white.
Let's go.
That's it.
Let's go.
Pants, shirt, hat.
The whole 9, everything. Socks, underwear.
Everything.
Look like a painter.
I was thinking like that makes me think of like a P. Diddy music video, I think, from like the 90s or something. I don't
remember.
I don't know.
Sounds kind of familiar, but I don't know if I remember.
Some people wearing it, and I'm just like, like they were about to like tee off at the British Open or something like that, just with white pants and white, going to Wimbledon. I don't know.
It'll be fun. All right, let's get into it. We got a final segment. I got a few questions for you guys about this Dallas defense and this matchup against San Francisco. Let's start first with this. When Dallas's run defense has struggled this year, what did you think was the biggest problem? Because I think there have been some games, Denver, maybe the second Philadelphia game, depending on how you look at that. I look at that as that first half. They were having some struggles there against what wasn't even the starting unit for
Parsons was terrible in that game.
Well, of course, he wasn't there. And so I guess what I'm asking is, in the games where they have struggled, New England might have been another, what do you think was the biggest challenge?
In Denver, they didn't tackle. They did not tackle very well. They didn't look like they played the game like they were very interested. I don't know if that was the case, but they didn't seem like it, and they didn't tackle like it. And they let guys that are, rookie back, who's a good player, Javonte Williams, but they let him, turn into Jim Brown. So they didn't tackle well. And there was a lot of plays in that game that I remember specifically. We talk about first down a lot. There was how many times in that Denver game was it like 2nd and 12, 2nd and 13? And they would get like 9, 10 yards and totally change it. They're trying to get Teddy Bridgewater to throw it on 3rd and 12, and it wasn't happening. They were getting first downs or 3rd and short. Same type of thing here. I compare this game a lot to the 49ers, to the Bronco game. Quarterback's about the same. You don't want to give them a lot of room because they might, but the more that they throw it, the better it might be for you. Just don't put them in a favorable situation.
Another one probably worth mentioning is the Saints game. I mean, they pulled away, but Taysom Hill ran all over them. That's obviously a little bit different, but I do think the edge factor is part of it. Like, they didn't play with an edge against Denver, and I think, like, to Bucky's point, and I don't think that'll be a problem in a playoff game, but, like, you got to come ready to sign up to just get bashed and bash back, for 60. God, that sounds like such a cliche. For 60 minutes, though, like every play. And so I don't worry about that in a playoff game. But also, gap integrity, the stuff with the motion is really tricky. I think at times some of these guys, this defense has been caught out of position by stuff like that. Again, going back to Taysom Hill, when you can scheme up stuff like that. That has been a problem for them when teams have been able to run the ball.
The thing about what the 49ers did, I watched them more than that game. I saw the game, and I hadn't watched them play a lot. Like, I don't know if it's changed over the years, but I guarantee you Shanahan has figured out exactly how to call those or how to run those plays that they don't get a false start. Because if you notice, they have put their guy in motion like right before the snap. It almost looks like a false start, like he moves early.
I did notice that on a couple plays.
And that's the fullback's name. I don't even know how.
Juice check.
I mean, he's not even a fullback. You can call him that. He's everything. He dictates a lot of things. But he is moving a half a second before the snap, and it's legal. It's a legal play. It's got to be legal. It's just like he goes in motion. No one says how long you go in motion for. He doesn't go in motion for 2 seconds. It's just motion and then snap.
Yeah.
And it really gives them a running start. And so it's a crafty way that they figured it out.
This is actually going back to a conversation we've been having all year, and I want Micah rushing the passer as an element of every game he plays. But I think this is probably a game where he's more valuable off the ball to them because, again, gap integrity, like having not just the instincts, but the speed to be where you're supposed to be, and then the physicality to make the play when you get there. And I think probably because he's a converted safety, I think Keanu Neal has had times where he didn't have the physicality to do that, broken tackles and whatnot. And I think Leighton Vander Esch isn't as quick to the ball as the guy we saw when he was younger. They've both been solid this season, but we know what elite off-ball linebacker play looks like, and that hasn't been it. And Micah has that potential to, the classic idea of Sean Lee of knowing where the ball's going the minute it's snapped, getting there and making the play. I think that would be very valuable against the type of football San Francisco likes to play.
Yeah, I think you mentioned two things there that jumped out at me. First was when you're talking about Taysom Hill, one thing to note, they do line Deebo Samuels up in the backfield to get direct snaps sometimes. So that could be something that they look at and say, hey, Cowboys had some trouble stopping Taysom Hill in those situations where he was getting the direct snap and running. Maybe that's something that we see this weekend with Deebo Samuels. But the other thing, you talked about Micah Parsons, and I look at that, and in that Arizona game, one thing they did with Micah is they kind of had him tracking on a lot of plays. They had him tracking Carlos Edmonds. I wonder if the Cowboys will look at this game and look at him very similar to that and say, we're going to have him track whoever's in the backfield, whether that's Elijah Mitchell. If Debo's in the backfield, track Debo. Kind of keep him with whoever's in the backfield. And because you don't have to worry about a running quarterback like you did against Arizona. I was a little bit like in those situations against Arizona, I was a little bit like, I don't know if I would have done that when you got a running quarterback. But they did it a lot in that game, and he did a good job on Carlos Edmonds. It does make me think. I'm Chase Edmonds. Chase Edmonds. I'm sorry. I do think that is a strategy that maybe is worth looking at for a game like this.
Maybe with Deebo Samuel, but I mean, honestly, I think that was a bad decision against the Cardinals.
Right.
Like, you took out Chase Edmonds with Micah Parsons. Win. I mean, that he's not the guy that makes it go all the time.
Oh no, you nullified our running back.
No. I mean, I think Micah Parsons needs to be the one dictating everything. I don't want him following Deebo Samuel all the time. I want him getting after Jimmy Garoppolo's ass. That's what I want him doing all the time. And so I get the spy part of it too. Jalen Kearse has got to be huge in this game for the Kittle and just the way he plays. And number 55, like I said this on the radio this morning, and I never have said this about any player ever because it doesn't. Any sport, you don't say this. I need rookie year Vander Esch this week. Rookie season Leighton. That sounds weird, but I need that guy.
Yeah.
The hunter.
He to me
this
is
his game.
The X factor in this game.
Yeah.
Mainly because against the running team, I think when they've struggled, I asked you guys that question earlier, I think when they've struggled against the run, I think primarily you've had issues at linebacker. And I think he's been a part of that. And I just wonder, like, this is a game where he's going to have to show up and really play an outstanding game, getting in the right gaps where he needs to be and not getting washed out of plays, because that happens quite a bit with him.
Which is, and I agree, but they both do. Neal and Leighton both have to have nice games, but I would like Parsons to help with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, I want him to do a little bit of everything always, but I think I'm content to try to let the front four get after Garoppolo. Like it's weird to be talking about an NFL football game in 2022 where I'm more worried about what they can do with the run than the pass. I'm just like, I'll live and die with making Jimmy make those plays.
And you say Jimmy, you're talking about Garoppolo, but I think of Jimmy Johnson. I remember when he first got here, and the big talk was you can't play college football in the NFL, especially in the NFC East, because Jimmy Johnson wanted quick, fast defenders, undersized, a little bit, but they fly to the ball. And here's a good example of that. Keanu O'Neal's a converted safety. Micah Parsons, yes, he's a linebacker. He's not the biggest. Van Der Esch is. Those guys have been knocked back before. Jaron Kearse is a converted safety that plays up there close to the line. Big boys, blocking. If it gets hat on a hat, the Cowboys could be in trouble. The thing is, they've got to be quicker to the ball. They got to use that speed, and it worked in those teams in the '90s, and they kind of changed the game a little bit. But I just wonder, this is going to be speed versus power, and if they don't get there and utilize their speed, and they take on these blocks head on, it could be a long day.
I do also, and completely agreed. I think it's worth mentioning as well. They're so good at yards after catch. And that's been, we're talking about issues for this defense. That's been a theme as well. Going back, the Saints game I just talked about, 70-yard catch and run. You've seen stuff like that across the season. DJ Moore going all the way back to Carolina. And again, tackling. They're going to get first downs. Don't let these guys turn 6-yard catches into 25-yard gains.
I saw both of us kind of looked at each other while Bucky was talking about how they will try to, run on the outside if they think that they got a defensive back that doesn't like to tackle.
Guess what?
You're a little bit concerned about Trayvon, because that's the one part of Trayvon's game that I know a lot of people give him a lot of flack about what he does in the coverage game. I'm good with that. I don't think he's a great guy when it comes to as a run defender. What do you guys think?
Yes, my eyebrows perked up and I looked at you for a very specific reason. I find somebody else to have the yards allowed debate. I don't care. He's been fantastic in coverage, in my opinion. I don't like the idea of Deebo Samuel coming around left tackle with juice check out there blocking on the perimeter, and Trayvon is what's going to stop this from being a huge gain. That's concerning. And again, they have to go into this game with that mindset of I'm going to be sore as hell tomorrow because it's just going to be that physical, and I've got to make those types of plays.
Or better yet, Deebo out there actually trying to block Trayvon.
That too.
And you've got Elijah Mitchell coming behind him with a use check. That's where I start wondering, they got receivers, and this is what Bucky was getting at. They got receivers who like to block, and they're good at it. That can be a bit of a challenge when you start talking about the perimeter run game.
If Kyle Shanahan doesn't specifically have a focus on number 7 doesn't necessarily like to get in the mix in the run game, I guarantee you that's part of their game plan. It has to be.
Yeah.
He's too we give him so much credit for the way that he adapts to his opponents and adapts his personnel. There's no way that they haven't seen that on tape.
Yeah, and that's how you're going to get him out of his game. Get him running at him, let him thinking that way, and then that's where we've kind of seen him slip up a little bit in coverage. When he's not playing his game and just covering guys all the time. So, yeah, I agree. I think that's going to be – they do a lot of those reverses and things like that. But that's where the linebackers have got to be – we talked about they got to be aware. They got to be seeing it. They got to be chasing it.
They got to run.
That's where the speed is going to come into play. That's where it's just like a chess match, And you talked about how sore you're going to feel the next day. The winner of this game could very easily play on Saturday. I think that's a possibility that the winner of this game is going to get a short week.
Well, the interesting thing there, too, is both of these teams, the team that you would probably play. I'm assuming Tampa gets the win. They're going to have a similar type matchup, a team that likes to mix it up and play physical. And so, this is the playoffs. Everybody's gonna be feeling it come Monday because the level of play goes up when you get to
You don't
the
think
playoffs.
anyone's going to be too tired to play, right?
Yeah, no, I don't.
they'll be all right.
I don't think so. It's of course that would be thinking too far ahead. But Tampa plays Sunday at 1 or noon for us, and then the other matchup that the Cowboys could potentially be involved with is Monday night. So at the very
That
least,
doesn't happen on Saturday.
no. But just at the very least, whoever they would play isn't going to have more rest than they would.
Right.
So. Yeah, no, I think you can find your energy for the playoffs.
I mean, because we were talking about that, and this is if the NFL wants to go AFC, NFC on Saturday, AFC, NFC on Sunday. They may not. They may stick it to what it is right now and just go AFC. But the thing about it is that if the Cowboys are going to play the Buccaneers, if they win and play the Buccaneers, then the next game would be Green Bay and obviously the winner of the 4-5 game on Monday night. They're not putting a Monday night team on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just saying, if they do want to put an NFC game on Saturday, it's going to have to be the Bucs and the winner of this game.
Yeah.
Again, the NFL's done a lot.
Problems for Monday.
Oh yeah,
if they win.
Yeah, they'll be banged up and all that. And I mean, it's like I said before, it's a fist fight. This is going to turn into a very physical game, and can the Cowboys do it? Can they hold up? That's the big question.
Yep. As always, we appreciate you guys joining us. We'll be back tomorrow. We're going to talk some San Francisco defense versus the Cowboys offense. We'll do that tomorrow. Till then, for Nick Eatman and Dave Hellman and Amber Garcia, I am Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!